So we're at a pretty like sort of midway stage in terms of building the general idea of the tune. And something we do a lot is using vocal samples or recorded vocalists or MCs. And it's always, or generally, it's a good idea to try and get the vocal in, if you can, kind of early, because sometimes you'll get something from the vocalist or the sample that kind of sparks off other musical ideas or ideas for arrangement, and then you can kind of build more of the track around that. So yeah, we're going to have a go at basically getting a sample, getting it in time, chopping it up, processing it, and kind of making it fit the vibe of the track. It's something that we do a lot. You know, if you've heard any of our music, you know, I'd probably say at least 50% of it probably has some element of a vocal in there. You know, kind of fits the whole soulful, deep style. So yeah, let's see what we can do. So I do have a vocal sample that I found earlier. I've not done anything to it. I'm just going to drag in the file. Just going to drag that in here. And yeah, so obviously, if you're sort of downloading acapellas or getting stuff off sample websites, it will be at a certain tempo. So the first thing you need to do is try and get it in time. So I'm just going to have a quick, what I'll do is I'll just quickly play it by itself just so you can get an idea of what that's going to sound like.
I've been chasing the moon and the stars, 'cause I've been trying to be where you are. 'Cause I'm down when you're far away, yeah. When you're gone, I don't sleep for days, yeah.
So as you can hear, it's a really nice vocal, really soulful, and there's loads of it as well. So generally, I like to sort of skip through the full sample and see what we can find. So I'm just going to have a quick go at that. I mean, I already like the first couple of phrases, but we'll just skip through and see what we can find.
Yeah. I've been stuck in the darkest days, yeah. I don't wanna live without you. You're my missing piece. I don't feel at home without you.
Yeah, I really like that bit. So sometimes what I'll do as well, if I find bits of the sample I like, I'll just duplicate it and just solo it and then just chop bits out. So on Ableton, if you use Command E or Control E on Windows, you can kind of just make little chops just to remind yourself of the bits that you like. So we'll just do that. I'll just keep going.
Yeah. Can't you see what I'm trying to say? I'm nothing without you.
So we'll just grab that bit as well.
Live without you, you live without you. You're my missing piece. I don't feel at home without you. 'Cause I'm nothing without you. I'm chasing moon and trying to be.
Oh, that's actually a really cool, unexpected sound at the end there. I'm just gonna do that as well. So obviously, this track's quite slow, or this vocal's quite slow, and the tune's at 172 BPM. So we need to obviously get it in time. Luckily, I did just check what the BPM of the tune was before, so I kind of already know it's at 123. So I'm just gonna go into the file and just type in 123. That'll warp it and hopefully put it in time. So we'll just check that that's done that. Let me just turn this one off.
I've been chasing the moon and stars, 'cause I've been trying to be where you are.
See, the downbeat's not in the right place at the moment. Just move that a little bit along.
I've been chasing the moon and stars.
That sounds roughly right. You haven't got to get it exact. I mean, if you can get it roughly in time, Ableton's warp engine's really good, so you can start moving bits around to get it perfectly in time. But for now, that's a good starting point. So I'm just going to leave that there. And the next thing to do, of course, is get it in the right key. It sounds like it might be almost a fifth, I think, down. So I'm just going to just experiment and just get it in the right key. This is where if you've got really good music theory skills, you can probably do this a lot quicker than I'm about to do it.
I've been chasing the moon and stars.
One other thing I should mention as well, for vocals, we tend to use a Complex Pro algorithm. Just seems to get a more true or a more sort of musical transposition. So we tend to use that a lot more.
I've been chasing the moon and stars.
And actually, I just completely lucked out there. Put it on +5 and it was the right one. So something you can do as well is play with the formants and envelope.
I've been chasing the moon.
Because what it will do is it will try and sort of maintain the actual tone of the voice if you have it up to the maximum. And if you don't, it'll just do a straight transposition and kind of get that chipmunk Kanye West effect, if you like.
I've been chasing the moon instead.
So yeah, I'm just going to leave it there because it still sounds like a human's actually sung that and not some sort of animal.
I've been chasing the moon instead. 'Cause I've been trying to be where you are.
Just going to turn this up actually in the sample a bit as well.
I've been chasing the moon instead. 'Cause I've been trying to be where you are.
Cool, that's sounding good. What I'll do is I'm just going to double the length of the loop as well, just so we can play around a bit more with the vocal and see what sounds good. And yeah, I've got an idea. I'll tell you what we're going to do as well. Just move this along so I can get a rough idea of the chops that I made. Cool. So yeah, probably just scan through again. I really like the start.
I've been chasing the moon and the stars. 'Cause I've been trying to be where you are. Could it be that I'm searching too hard? I wish you'd come and find me. Won't you come and find me? 'Cause I'm down when you.
See, that first 16, I think, could be a really nice intro. If we imagine that bar 81 onwards is the drop of the track, I think that could be quite a nice intro. So for now, I'm just going to grab another channel. Yeah, and just move this down here. Just see what that sounds like. We can just do some quick arrangement to imagine like the track's going to drop here. Just cut some drums out.
Come and find me.
Tell you what as well, just to make it seem more like a drop, we will put a filter on here, just filter down the chords. So yeah, we tend to, this is kind of going into arrangement a little bit, but it'll just kind of help build the idea of a track and where the vocal should be hitting. But we tend to, as you've seen before, use filters on a lot of channels. Just kind of bringing elements in, taking them out, really helps kind of build suspense and kind of keep the track moving and keep it dynamic. So before a drop, if it's kind of a musical intro and everything's kind of playing the full frequency of each sound, we'll tend to just filter it down, do a low pass filter, and then obviously when the drop hits, the bass comes in, you kind of get a nice energy switch. So
I wish you'd come and find me. Won't you come and find me?
we'll do the same as well. We'll just copy this filter across to here just to get the same movement.
I wish you'd come and find me. Won't you come and find me? 'Cause I'm down when you're far away, yeah. When you're gone, I don't sleep for days, yeah. I've been.
So you can already hear, I probably won't keep that whole vocal in the drop, but you can hear now where you've got kind of an intro and a drop forming. So let's process. I'm just going to group all of this just to keep things neat into a vocal channel. Let's start processing this vocal. So kind of standard affair, we'll put an EQ on. I'll just drag the window across. So I've got two screens, so I have to keep dragging all the plugin windows across. Put an EQ on, low cut, just to get rid of any noise in the bottom end. The good thing is, because this is an acapella from a released track, loads of the kind of core processing's already done. So, you know, we won't need to compress it too much. We won't need to do any of the kind of surgical stuff, because that will hopefully already be done by the original engineer. So actually working with samples is quite a bit easier at times than working with a raw recorded vocal. But, you know, just best practice, going to put a low cut on there. And to kind of achieve the sounds that we tend to do, we use things like choruses, delays, and reverbs to kind of really get that spaced out feel. So I'm just going to apply a chorus. So we use this plugin, which is called Super VHS. It's by Baby Audio. Really cool plugin. It's a tape saturation or kind of a, yeah, it's kind of like a tape saturation plugin, but it also has this magic button. And it's honestly one of the easiest things to use. You just hit the magic button and you can hear straight away.
I've been chasing the moon and the stars.
Just creates. That's wet. This is dry.
I've been chasing the moon and the stars.
Immediately you're hitting that really cool sort of chorused vocal. It does add a tiny bit of gain, so something to just watch out for. They've got an output gain meter here, an output gain knob, sorry.
I've been chasing the moon and the stars.
But yeah, already that sounded really cool. Super simple. Just gonna turn it up a little bit.
I've been chasing the moon and the stars. 'Cause I've been trying to be where you are. Could it be that I'm searching too hard? I wish you'd come and find me. Won't you come and find me?
Cool. So that's a great start. Yeah, we tend to use reverbs as well, obviously, just to kind of add to the kind of atmosphere. And yeah, we're just going to get our trusty friend Vintage Verb out here. And we'll just put it on. I really like this 80s algorithm. It's a really cool, and it's a really cool algorithm. It kind of has a, well, it tells you what it does at the bottom. So no downsampling, but it's a bit darker and a bit noisier in the modulation. So I think that sounds really cool. So just going to turn the dry wet right down, turn the low cut up, turn the high cut up a bit so we catch more of the frequencies that are affected. And just solo this so we can hear it.
I've been chasing the moon and the stars.
Oh, I've actually put that in the wrong place. Where did I put that? Right, well, I've lost that one. I have no idea where that's gone. Put it on the drums. Classic. Put that in the right place. See what that sounds like. So I'll just drag this window back across.
I've been chasing the moon and the stars.
Let's turn the decay down a little bit. Also, you can change the room type as well. A plate would be cool. Let's put a dirty plate on there.
I've been chasing the moon and the stars.
Just adds a bit more space.
'Cause I've been trying to be where you are.
These are all things that can be automated as well, kind of at a later stage. And then finally, we're just going to add a little delay on here as well for now, just to kind of get closer to what we think it's going to sound like. I'm going to put the reverb at the end of a chain. And delays are great, especially if you've got elements that you want to kind of smoothly carry over into the next section of a track. So in our case, we've got the vocal at the start, and then we've got the vocal in the intro, and then we want it to kind of not just suddenly cut off into a drop, but we want it to carry over a bit. So a delay is a great way of doing that. And Tau Dub it's got a really cool dub delay section on it. We tend to use this a lot. This probably is in every single one of our productions for the last, 3 or 4 years, this plugin. Yeah, it's just a really cool plugin that's super cheap, and it sounds great. So yeah, we're just gonna automate we'll automate a dry wet on there. So we'll just get that on so we can do that. So yeah, we want basically the last phrase or last bar just to kind of carry over into the drop. So we'll just see what that sounds like.
Could it be that I'm searching too hard? I wish you'd come and find me. Won't you come and find me?
Cool. So what we want to do is, so the dub delay, and as if you know about dub delays, they're super resonant and they're kind of low pass, but I wanted a little bit more of the higher frequencies to cut through, and maybe just turn the resonance down a little bit. You've got to be really careful with the feedback knob, because as soon as you kind of go anywhere near 12 o'clock, you'll just get this endless loop that kind of gets louder and louder. Luckily, they've built a panic button in, so if it does get crazy, you can just hit the panic button and it will kill any of the delays. But yeah, I've just linked the two channels as well, just to get a kind of uniform delay. Let's go for a kind of slowish triplet feel.
I wish you'd come and find me. Won't you come and find me?
So, probably say that's a little bit too loud. I'm just going to bring the wet volume down a little bit.
I wish you'd come and find me. Won't you come and find me?
And let's just kill that quickly. So let's see what that sounds like in context with the rest of the track.
I've been chasing moments, I've been trying to be where you are. Could it be that I'm searching too hard? I wish you'd come and find me. Won't you come and find me?
Cool. So that sounds quite nice. It's obviously not perfectly in time. Probably just turn this down a little bit as well. So let's just warp this to see if we can get it more in time. So we'll just solo this and put a metronome on. I'll tell you what, we'll put the chords on as well, just to give us some context.
I've been chasing the moon and the stars.
That sounds pretty good.
'Cause I've been trying to be where you are. Could it be that I'm searching too hard? I wish you'd come and find me. Won't you come and find me?
So it's pretty close, to be honest, and you don't want it to be bang on. I would say you want it to kind of keep that human timing feel on there. So I'm not going to warp it too hard. I just literally want to get this last bit, just in shape. And I think let's just listen to that again.
Won't you come and find me? Won't you come and find me?
So we'll just turn a delay off. Just turn a delay off to help.
Won't you come and find me? Won't you come and find me? Won't you come and find me?
To be fair, let's just mess around with this a little bit.
Won't you come and find me?
So we could actually do that. That sounds quite nice.
Won't you come and find me?
Let's put a delay back on, see what that sounds like.
Won't you come and find me?
And actually what we'll do as well, we'll just speed the delay up a little bit, see what that sounds like.
Won't you come and find me?
And then we'll just listen to it in context just to see what that sounds like.
I've been chasing the moon and stars. I've been trying to be where you are. Could it be that I'm searching too hard? I wish you'd come and find me. Won't you come and find me?
Cool, so we'll just turn the delay down again a little bit. It's a little bit too loud. So we'll just make sure where we've got the automation. We'll just turn that down a little bit because it goes a little bit too loud at the end.
I wish you'd come and find me. Won't you come and find me?
Cool. So there's plenty more we can do with this. So if we're imagining, let's say a 32 bar drop, we've got the second 16 of the intro there. So let's just grab another 16 of music, and of course we'll change the arrangement at some point. I just want to get the structure of the vocal down, which of course is also subject to change. One thing that's really important to remember is everything can be changed. And I'm sure some people would say, you know, committing as you go is a good way to go about it, but sometimes you'll do something or you'll hear something and it will just spark another idea for arrangement or for extra sounds or extra processing. So you shouldn't be afraid to make those changes kind of on the fly. But yeah, we'll give ourselves a basis for now. So I'm just going to put some extra in there. And what would be cool actually would be if there was some ad-libby sounds. We'll just have another look through this sample.
Nothing without you.
See, straight away, I got completely lucky there. That could be a ad-lib.
Without you. Without you. I've been running you. I've been running.
So what we'll do is we'll just grab that. We'll just duplicate this channel. And we'll just start putting stuff in. So we've got another 16 here. Let's put it on the 5th bar of that intro. That sounds really cool already. All I did was to duplicate the channel so it's got the same processing. What we'll do is we'll just increase the delay. We don't need to have this one go from sort of dry to wet just because it's such a short phrase, the whole thing can be affected. So we'll just grab that. We'll just turn that up a little bit. Yeah, so that's a really nice sound for the intro. And we can go one step further, actually. We can either do it in dub delay itself, so they've got drive and filter and things like that. But I think it'd be quite cool to distort the vocal a bit. And then we can add some filtering as well, just to kind of give it a different texture from the main vocal. Almost make it sound like an instrument, which can be quite a nice thing to do. So I'm just going to grab a filter. And maybe go for a bandpass. Do this quite often. We'll put it in front of the delay. Get some lovely resonance going, and then yeah, let's distort it a little bit. I'm just going to use D16's Devastor. I'm on M1, so unfortunately, output haven't updated Thermal and Portal yet, so I'm having to make do with other plugins. But hey, there's multiple ways to skin a cat, so I'm just gonna use Devastor, which is also a great distortion plugin, to be honest. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll just save some time. We'll just go through. So I've just picked the Drive 2 preset there, just adding a lovely bit of overdrive to the sound, also Drive 1. I'm just going to turn the resonance down a little bit. What I might do as well, let's just grab another EQ. Cool. So yeah, what I've done there is just add a little notch at one of those big resonant peaks, just to kind of be a bit kinder on the ears. But yeah, it sounded really cool. So that's a nice little ad-lib intro. Let's see if we can find some more as well, because I'm sure there's more going on in here. I haven't listened to the full sample, but I'm sure there's more.
They can't tell me that you're not the one. So baby, come and find me. You need to come and find me. 'Cause I'm down when you're far away, yeah. When you're gone, I don't sleep for days, yeah. I've been stuck in the darkest days, yeah. Can't you see?
Already, that's a really nice one. We're going to grab that. Same process, just copying and pasting it out of that sort of main file. This is why it's quite useful to kind of have duplicates of the file, because you can just have one as your kind of main vocal sample that you just rip stuff out of and post into different channels to get different effects. That's the way we work. I'm sure other people do it in different ways, but I just find it's a lot easier to keep track of where you're at. Oh. What we'll do is we'll just trim this sample down a little bit just so it hits a bit closer to the actual beat. And maybe we'll just leave this one as is. Actually, no, we'll trim a little bit. We'll trim a little bit off that as well, just so it's a bit more in time. Maybe just fade it in as well. And what we can also do, if we want to get really funky with it, is just automate this filter movement as well. So we can just have it opening up. Or maybe we'll see what this sounds like. We're just experimenting, really, see what we can do. Maybe start a bit lower. We'll just drag that down a little bit as well. So now we're starting to get some real nice movement out of those little ad-libs. Let's just have one last... We don't want to go completely overkill, but we'll have one last go just to see what we can find. This is a lovely bit of artifact in that bit, but maybe if we affect it, it will sound okay. Yeah, some of these acapellas you're going to get aren't going to be perfect. They're going to have artifacts in them from where people have used phase cancellation to kind of phase cancel the instrumental from the track to isolate the vocal. So yeah, artifacts are going to be part and parcel, but I guess it's our job as producers just to kind of make the best of it. Oh, there's the money shot right there. Really nice that. Maybe we can have some for the drop as well. Let's see what that sounds like. Yeah, that sounds super nice. Cool. So one thing I tend to do, just to remind myself of what's going on, it's just to play stuff from the start, just so we get the full context, see how that sounds. I think we'll just space these out a bit. Could be cool to put some little call and responses in here. See what that sounds like. Quite a lot of delay happening, but we can fix that in the kind of mix phase. But yeah, I think that's sounding pretty cool. So we've got this one last ad-lib here as well. Let's just quickly hear that. Probably just increase that filter cutoff as well. Cool, that's sounding really good. So yeah, fairly straightforward, simple techniques really, just to get a nice atmospheric sort of deep vocal sample going. So I mean, I think there's going to be parts as well that we'll want to do later in the track. So if we imagine here, bar 81 is the drop, that's the first 16, that's the second 16. Let's say we've got a 64 bar drop is standard. We might want to bring a vocal in either after the first 16 bars of a drop or after the first 32. So let's just have a quick scout through again and see if we want to get a different part of the sample or the same part repeated again.
Nothing, 'cause I'm down when you're far away, yeah. When you're gone, I don't sleep for days, yeah. I've been stuck in the darkest stage, yeah. Can't you see what I'm trying to say? I'm nothing without.
To be fair, we're just following the order of the track, but that's really cool. So I think we should probably put that in as the sort of second 32 vocal. So we can just do that and we'll just chop it up and see how it sounds. So I'm just going to turn, first thing I'm going to do, just make sure the delay is not completely wet over that, otherwise it's going to sound a bit crazy. But yeah, let's see if that's in time first of all. I don't think it will be.
'Cause I'm down when you're far away, yeah. When you're gone, I don't sleep for days, yeah. I've been stuck in the darkest stage, yeah. Can't you see what I'm trying to say?
Cool, let's play it with the drums as well, just to get a bit more context.
'Cause I'm down when you're far away.
We'll just create a little bit of arrangement here. So I think we probably want the vocal to hit on the one, or close to the one.
'Cause I'm down. 'Cause I'm down.
Or we could even...
'Cause I'm down when you're far away, yeah. When you're gone, I don't sleep for days, yeah. I've been stuck in the darkest stage, yeah. Can't you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, that's really cool. So what we can have, so what I've done there is just have the vocal kind of lead into the second half of the drop. But what we can do, well, we'll get to it when we do the arrangement, but yeah, we can do something cool here, like even just cut everything out. Maybe we'll just experiment with that and see what that sounds like.
'Cause I'm down when you're far away, yeah. When you're gone, I don't sleep for days, yeah. I've been stuck in the darkest stage, yeah. Can't you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, let's chop that up. So what we'll do, we'll space it out a little bit to see what that sounds like if we just do this. Might sound a bit weird, but it's all about experimenting.
'Cause I'm down when you're far away, yeah. When you're gone, I don't sleep for days, yeah. I've been stuck in the darkest stage, yeah. Can't you see what I'm trying to say?
Cool. I think that sounds pretty good. For now, we might change, but yeah, I think that sounds pretty good. What we'll do is we'll just add a little bit of automation at the end of each phrase, and I'll just, in fact, Ableton's really cool because you can copy and paste automation really easily. We'll just add some of that in. Oops, let's just grab that, bring that down. Just do the same here. See what that sounds like with a little bit of automation.
When you're gone, I don't sleep for days, I've been stuck in the darkest stage, can't you see what I'm trying to say?
So I've actually done those automation lines wrong. I need to actually make sure they're coming down before the vocal hits. Let's just do that. There we go. Just drag that along a bit. Same here. See what that sounds like quickly.
I've been stuck in the darkest stage, can't you see what I'm trying to say?
Cool. think for now that's probably a good start for the vocals. We've got a nice little flow going. It's added on other elements of a track, and yeah, we'll obviously continue to develop this tune in the next parts. But yeah, that's kind of the basics for how we kind of go through a vocal or a vocal sample and processing it.